place. Rob, let's just get right to it. So walk us through the guilty verdicts, and let's just start there.
Well, a number of counts here, 23 different counts. Some of those were against Said individually, some of them against Aimee Bock individually. There were then some of them that were against both of them. So it broke down that Aimee Bock had 7 counts against her. Salim Said had 21 counts against him, but again, total of 23 counts with that mixture in there. And they were found guilty on every single one of them as they went down. It was just guilty all the way down the board. And this is sort of what you would expect based on the timing here. If you've covered a lot of trials as we have since the jury began deliberating at 9 o'clock this morning, you know, you thought based on the preponderance of the evidence here that the government laid out. I mean, that's why this trial went into its 6th week, is because the prosecution took a long time because there were so many witnesses, so much evidence, so much paperwork that it was pretty overwhelming. And so we thought that it might be a quick verdict based on that. I thought it might come yet late in the afternoon. This came a little bit earlier than I thought. But again, shows you that it didn't take long for these jurors to decide that the government had made its case and that it was guilty all the way down the board. And again, beginning at 9, and we got word of the verdict, before 2 p.m. is when we were told. I'm losing track of time now. It's been a bit of a whirlwind here in the last 45 minutes, but so completely guilty. At the end, you know, it takes a while to get through that, and then they have to pull the jurors. And then there's a discussion of release versus detention. You know, Bock and Said had been released from custody throughout this, but as the judge made clear that the law is that convictions here require detention unless the judge rules that they shall rule that if there's no threat to flee or threat to the community, that they can make an exception. So release is the exception, and she decided that this exception is not one that she would make. So they were both taken into custody. You could see that Aimee Bock here before the verdicts were read, you know, I could see understandably, you know, that she was kind of shaking here. And, you know, of course, that's going to be in any case. I mean, it's a very nerve-wracking moment for a defendant. And then after the verdicts were read, hers were read first, guilty of all the 7 counts against her. And she just kind of put her head down and looked at the table in front of her. Salim Said, as his counts were read, was just eyeing the jury. And then they polled the jurors, too, to say, is this your true and accurate verdict? And Salim Said did watch that, but Aimee Bock never looked up. Obviously, a lot of emotion as they were then taken into custody by U.S. Marshals here, tears, crying, you know. So there you go.
Yeah, and Rob, you know, at what point would we or not learn about the jury makeup? You know, who were the people who made this decision? Well,
I don't know that, you know, they remain anonymous. You know, I can tell you it was 7 men and 5 women. I was here for that jury selection. I took a lot of notes on that, but not all of them, and they're referred to by number, so I'd have to cross-reference who was what. They are now able to speak publicly about it, whether they would choose to speak to the media or not. That's rare. It does happen. But, you know, you find a case here and there where somebody will. But the judge is going to meet with them for a while here first. She acknowledged that this has been an enormous amount of time, and that it was an enormous amount of evidence to consider as well, but just a huge undertaking for them in their life. I mean, this is the 6th week of this. Yeah. We haven't had a full week, I should note too. We had some Fridays off. There was a Monday for a holiday, a couple other days where we had off that the judge had conflicts. There was the day of that snowstorm that we had off. So there were a number of days where we were off. So we've had, this is, I believe, the 20th actual working day over that time.
Okay. Rob, how close are you to the press conference? I know you got to get over there. Do you need to head out?
I can take a couple more minutes, but then I need to head down, to the press conference. The U.S. attorneys will be holding a press conference There you see a live shot now of the podium in their press conference room.
Yeah.
I got to get down there here in a couple of minutes, but yeah, I can take a couple more minutes if you have any more questions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you talked a little bit about the reaction of Aimee Bock and Salim Saeed. His case as a defendant in this seemed so overshadowed, just even in time spent on this. I'm curious if either of them, do you know if either of them had people in the courtroom who were there for them, family members, other supporters for them?
Today I couldn't see. I was way on the far end. During the trial, hard to say. It didn't appear to be. There could have been from time to time, because there's some members of the public that would come in and out, but I don't know who they were. So if they were, it wasn't obvious, okay. I would say. But certainly, yeah, he does get overshadowed to the extent that on trial with Aimee Bock, the head of Feeding Our Future, which the government said none of this would have been possible without her and Feeding Our Future, because everything went through her. She approved all the sites. She made the applications to the state for the sites. She submitted the claims to the state. She got the money back and then sent it back out. So it all went through her. She was able to, have a layer of separation between her and others that had been charged and pled guilty in this conspiracy, since others were maybe collecting kickbacks here and submitting meal counts, et cetera. And she had a number of staff. But yeah, he was part of a group, it's a Safari restaurant, and then he opened, Stigma Free International. And they opened up sites in Wilmer, Mankato, St. Cloud, et cetera. And so he was part of a much larger group then that claimed to be vending food, but it showed in their bank accounts. And the bank records were pretty, a lot of the stuff was striking. The bank records were pretty striking when it showed that millions went into the bank accounts for his various entities, but between 1% and 4% of that money went out to purchase food. Looks like they're starting to get ready, so I'm going to head down there.
I want to let you head. Okay, we'll check back in with you in a couple minutes.